All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I came across this article from The Gamer, and you guys already know most of the writers over at The Gamer are just activists trying to get their message across. But this one in particular is filled with a ton, and I mean a ton of disingenuous information about Dr. Disrespect. And not only that, she tries to make it seem as if they have a gotcha moment, right? A lot of these people who are on the hardcore left, who shill for the LGBTQ, the people who try to pretend as if the LGBTQ do no wrong, they're not groomers, some of them, they're not whatever. Well, apparently they are trying to run with this Dr. Disrespect story and try to utilize it as a, see, you guys are just as bad as us kind of a thing. You know what I'm saying? Even though in their world, they try to put everything as left and right. And on our world, we try to look at everything from an objective point of view. Well, apparently this article says, why do so many influencers want to let Dr. Disrespect off the hook?
You've got to do better, Senator.
Now, I don't know who Stacey Henley is talking about, okay, because I don't know of anybody who's letting Dr. Disrespect off of the hook. All we tried to do was say, hey, we need a lot more evidence before we decide to want to cancel somebody, even though people like this are the ones who are the first to try to cancel people, because that's what they do. But apparently by us asking for more evidence, which we ended up getting, and then everybody disavowed him afterwards, even his own people disavowed him, apparently that's letting him off the hook. So let's get into this article, guys, from The Gamer. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push it out into the YouTube algorithm. Now, I need you guys to pay attention to something with The Gamer, okay? This particular person, Stacey, writes from an extremely, not only just misinformed, but disingenuous point of view. And the reason why I say that is because for me, and I've always said this, words have meaning, ladies and gentlemen. You can't just be throwing words out there that don't apply to the situation. It is ridiculous, and it makes you look like a fucking loser when you're out there trying to make a situation seem more extreme than it actually is, or just misrepresented in general. What Dr. Disrespect did is absolutely fucking ridiculous, but at the end of the day, what you're trying to claim that he did is not what was actually said in either his statement or whatever other statement that we've seen. So it says Dr. Disrespect initially denied and then admitting to sexting an underage girl. Okay, lie number one, right off the bat. Again, I am not a Dr. Disrespect fan. I've said this before, but words have meaning, ladies and gentlemen. If you're going to say sexting, you need to make sure that that is what was said in the actual statement, and it wasn't, okay? He simply said that he was messaging an underage girl at the time. Whether he knew or didn't know, I don't know, because he didn't say. But he said he was messaging a 17-year-old girl and that sometimes it would teeter on borderline inappropriate discussion. That is not saying he sexted anybody. He could literally be making a sexual innuendo or something, or a joke or whatever. Sexting has its own meaning. Inappropriate has its own meaning. You should have put here that he was being inappropriate with an underage girl, because that's what he admitted to, and that's what he should get roasted for. Absolutely. But you're trying to make it seem like something that it wasn't, because again, you have your own personal agenda. You're very tied to this, right? You have a lot of skin in the game, and these people were heavily against the LGBTQ, and the groomers that are in that particular community that have been caught, they've been heavily against it publicly, and now you feel like you got a gotcha, so you're trying to go all the way with it as you possibly can. Many gaming influencers who make content claiming LGBTQ people are groomers have deflected in the wake of Dr. Disrespect's confession. No, that's not the case. We simply ask people, hey, we need some more evidence before we cancel someone. You apparently are not for that, which is fine. It feels like a lot of people wanted Dr. Disrespect to get away with it because they agree with his politics or persona. No, that's not the case at all. Because if that was the case, people would not be disowning him right now. You want to purposely go after him with full and utter force, even to the point where you want to lie about certain information because you do not agree with his politics or persona. You are heavily against it. You have been for years. This is why the mainstream media is running wild with this right now, because they finally feel like they got a gotcha moment against people that they would deem to be alt-right, or whatever the case may be. Now, I find it amazing that you are trying to make it seem as if, oh, LGBTQ people are not groomers or whatever the case may be, as if finding one person like Dr. Disrespect is going to make up for all the people that have been caught in the year alone, just 1 year alone, in the LGBTQ activist community. Yes, I have to specify the difference. The activists in that community have absolutely been caught. I've showcased it on Hypnocast. I've showcased it on Twitter. And if you want, I can showcase it here too. Fuck it. I have all the receipts. Who cares? Philadelphia LGBTQ activists charged with the R word and sexual assault of 2, not 1, but 2 children. And these children were of the age of 9 and 14 years old. It wasn't just messages. They decided to take it to the real life and go all the way. Yes, all the way. You also have this kind of stuff that happens at pride parades. Now, here's the best thing about these pictures, ladies and gentlemen. They're always cropped because on Google heavily censors a lot of this stuff because they don't want people to know the truth about pride parades. But ladies and gentlemen, the truth about pride parades is very clear and very thorough. If you guys have known anything in history, you would realize that pride parades are extremely sexual and they are having more and more children visit them as time goes on. If you look at these photos here, it's always kink is everywhere in pride parades, right? And if you try to act like it's not, you're retarded, okay? It's very proven that kink is everywhere, and these parents have their children with them in the pride parade watching this stuff, and yet you want to make it seem as if that's not a thing. Again, they will crop the pictures and make it seem, oh yeah, the kids are in the family-friendly version. Yeah, that's not the case, man. They'll crop the picture to make it seem as if it's not, but ultimately we know that kids have seen stuff like this, unfortunately, as sickening as it is. They have. Look at this. I mean, they have kids literally dancing with women that are in lingerie. Look at what they're wearing on the bottom. I mean, again, ladies and gentlemen, I understand you want to go after Dr. Disrespect, and you should, rightfully so. But don't sit there and pretend like, oh yeah, so this proves that all the LGBTQ stuff is totally not happening because we caught one guy on the other side doing stupid shit that's not even half of what the LGBTQ have been caught doing. You know, you have another picture here where you got young people and kids in the background, and you got people walking on all fours like a dog because, again, it's kink stuff, right? I mean, this is what we're dealing with here. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is why somebody like Stacy or whatever her name is, what's her name? Stacy Henley. They want to pretend as if they're on the moral high ground now that they feel like they caught somebody on the other side doing what they've always been accused of doing. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? For the one person that you've caught, I can show you 200 on your particular side doing that exact same shit. So, of course, she ends up calling out Nick Merckx. She calls out Vera Dark. She calls out a bunch like Melanie Mack. These people, especially Stacy, women like Stacy have a hard-on for Melanie Mack because Melanie Mack is an ultra-Christian, obviously. And she's just not for the LGBTQ stuff, and that pisses off people like Stacy Henley. So she goes after those girls, you know, Vera Dark too. Vera Dark, I don't believe, is super religious, but Vera Dark is against the LGBTQ stuff, obviously, and it's something that Stacy Henley can't handle. So I just wanted to showcase this terrible article because, again, I don't even have to go into most of this article. You guys can read it on your own if you want, but it's written from a certain standpoint that clearly shows, look at this, Melanie Mack, who makes right-wing gaming content while pontificating about how Jesus will save us from the locust of the LGBTQ movement, shifted the blame onto other women who dressed provocatively on Twitch and claimed she needed more context before deciding if sexting a minor was just locker room jokes. No, that's not what she said at all, and you are purposely misrepresenting what she said again because it fits your narrative. She simply said that now that she saw what Dr. Disrespect had to say, that at that point it's very creepy and it is what it is and it needs to be handled accordingly, but she is curious that if whether or not he knew about her age prior and whether or not the messages, what does borderline inappropriate mean? What does that mean? Because you could say borderline inappropriate and it could just be a sexual innuendo, or you could be actually inappropriate and be sharing pictures, saying what you want to do with each other, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm saying? So again, that kind of information is very key to the overall context, but at the end of the day, Doc admitted to messaging a minor. He didn't specify whether he knew or he didn't, so you got to imagine that he did know, and that is enough information that for most people to need in order to just disavow him like I have completely. So again, ladies and gentlemen, Stacy, you can misrepresent the information all you want. You can feel like you got to win, but at the end of the day, your particular side of the aisle isn't exactly very innocent. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.